another question for City Manager Prisno. How much revenue would the new tax proposal bring in its first year?
Our estimates at this point are that the tax would generate about $4.2 million in the first year of its collection.
Just one more announcement to the audience members. We're running low on questions here, so if you have any more questions, this is the best time for you to grab a card and try to get the question answered up here. So you can flag down our volunteers who are up above.
A while back, there was a comment made about what determines residency. Residency has nothing to do with voter registration for purposes of the tax. Otherwise, people who aren't registered to vote wouldn't pay the tax. People who aren't citizens wouldn't pay the tax. So, the city can make rules and regulations, which they haven't done yet, probably determine what they're going to use as residency. Other communities, some other communities that have universities in them use the voter registration thing to determine residency to students. But it's not a blanket thing. That can be changed by municipality.
The next question is addressed either to Pete Murdoch or the City Manager Prisno. The city currently has a $16.1 million budget. According to the Plant Moran audit, city revenue increased 11% last year. $14 million in income tax amounts to a 25% increase. How is this money to be spent?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, no problem. The city currently has $16.1 million budget. According to the Plant Moran audit, city revenue increased 11% last year. $14 million in income tax.
$4 million.
$4 million in income tax amounts to a 25% increase. How is this money to be spent?
The income tax money? The proposed income tax money would be used to sustain services that are slated to be cut. According to the solvency plan, without that additional revenue, a number of services would be reduced, and so those additional funds from the income tax would prevent elimination of code enforcement. The fire department would prevent the elimination of 3 firefighter positions, would prevent the elimination of the current 50% of recreation subsidies we're providing for the pool, the senior center, and Partridge Community Center. It would prevent the elimination of parks maintenance, prevent the elimination of funding for the AATA bus service, and would prevent the elimination of 2 police support officers in the police department, and elimination of planning interns in the planning department.
I think the answer to the question is that, thank you for the answer there, but I think City Council certainly is not going to be granting vacations for all staff to the Bahamas. But what we'll be doing, I believe, is we'll be bankrolling and putting the extra funds in reserves, because we do see down the road that as things continue to go the way they are, that by 2012 we'll have to start cutting. So right now, if we don't have an income tax, what we see is for the next 2 fiscal years, the elimination of 6 positions in the police department, 6 positions in the fire department, the elimination of the other half of the Ann Arbor Transportation Authority, the bus contract. Unless we cut something else, that's $230,000 that we have to find somewhere. And so that's really what we're faced with. So it's a matter of putting money away for the future. And I think so far, again, the city has shown excellent fiscal stewardship in being able to keep the balanced budget, making cuts that were invisible until 2003 when the recreation department was cut. That one hurt the community. There was a big uproar. I was part of the uproar on that. But we are looking at, I believe, another uproar unless we get more revenue.
So as I understand it, we're looking at, turn the mic on, Pete. So what you're saying is to maintain the current level of services over the next several years, we need a 25% increase in revenues plus the additional 3 or 4% increases that we're getting anyway. So the costs are going up at a rate of 25%. Isn't there something wrong with that picture?
What's wrong with the picture is that the city has really suffered from the loss of heavy industry. Since 1998, we've lost a total of $3.7 million in personal property tax revenues. Now that's tax revenues from taxes on equipment in the heavy industry. When we lose a heavy industry, we lose the heavy industry still owns the property, and we collect the real property tax, but we do not collect the personal property tax, which is tax on the equipment. That's a large chunk, and again, $3.7 million since 1998 is a lot. Next year alone, we're projected to lose $1.3 million in heavy tax revenue, heavy industry tax revenue, just in next year alone. That's the difference between having ACH, the Ford plant, close next year and having it open along with other industries that former Mayor Farmer mentioned earlier, Motor Wheel, Exemplar, and the Peninsula Paper. So again, this Ypsilanti is basically being transformed from a heavy industry city to a service city, and the state of Michigan tax laws are not favorable to that. So we have to make up with that somehow, and unfortunately, the other tax revenues are trying to make up for that.
This next question is a clarification question from the audience. The question is, am I correct, the person asking, am I correct in that whether or not you're registered to vote in the city of Ypsilanti, you'll still pay an income tax to Ypsilanti? Sorry. The question is it correct that whether or not you're registered to vote in the city of Ypsilanti, you will still have to pay the income tax?
First of all, if you're registered to vote, you don't work in the city. If you don't work, you don't pay a tax. And so I think that's the first response. Secondly, we only have so many ways of determining whether you live in the city. We use voter registration records to determine if you live in the city. If you do not register to vote, and there's no other way of us determining that you're living in the city, then it's very difficult for us to verify that you are in fact a resident of the city. If you're a property owner, obviously you have a property tax record that indicates you're a city resident. But if you are a renter,